The National Legends Cars Championship is brought to you in association with All Growth Limited.
Hello everybody, welcome to Brands Hatch and welcome to the penultimate race meeting of the 2023 Legends Cars UK National Championship. I'm Chaz Draycott, stood here in the wonderful wet and windy weather here at Brands Hatch. It's bound to be another fantastic weekend though, our third trip to Brands Hatch this season, and the conditions are going to make the racing even more exciting than it usually is. The drivers are all on a bit of a level playing field because they know this circuit very well, but we're all really excited to see how this sets us up for a championship finale.
All still to be settled. Will Gibson with a good lead though coming to Brands Hatch from Luke Simmons. Ollie Schlupp in third, then Ben Higgins fourth. Andy Bird is in fifth place from Chris Needham, Jack Parker, Charlie Budd, Marcus Pett and Tyler Reid.
So I'm joined by the driver of the number 9 machine, Ollie Schlupp. Ollie, welcome to Brands Hatch, welcome to one of the penultimate race meetings of the season. How are you feeling coming here?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this weekend. Got a good opportunity to get some strong points in the championship and hopefully we can get a good result.
I was going to say the championship, obviously the main focus. You've sort of scored under the radar quite nicely this season. Do you think it's the camouflage wrap on the car that helped?
Yeah, just sort of a couple drivers have pulled out and we've just slowly made our way up the championship.
Well, it's certainly been going well for you. And what's the approach for this weekend? Is it all out or are you going to pick your battles and play it wise?
I think we've got to give it everything. We've got to try as hard as I can, pushing, especially in these wet races where I can make up more points.
So Andy Bird joins me, the driver of the number 30 machine. Andy, welcome to Brands Hatch. Good to see you. Clearly a lot better than you were at Snetterton. How are you feeling about this weekend in general?
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better than I was at Snetterton. In general, yeah, looking forward to it. A wet day today is upon us, so I like those conditions. And then tomorrow looks like it'll be dry. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Now with this event and obviously one more before the end of the championship, everyone's starting to do the maths a little bit. It's quite close within the top 10. Where are you aiming for in this one? Because it seems like Will's got quite a healthy advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone can really catch Will unless he has an absolute nightmare of a weekend. I just want to do as well as I can. I've not got any aspirations for finishing just behind Will, but if I do, then great. We'll try our best to do what we can.
The all-growth car of Mick Bridgman gives us a terrific view of very difficult conditions here at Brands Hatch. The grid, which was drawn earlier on in the day, sees Rob Fountain on pole, Mike Schlupp alongside Jack Parker and Charlie Budd on row 2, Luke Simmons and Tyler Reid on row 3. We've got a fair number of guest drivers in the mix as well. You saw briefly Chris Dewey. And we'll come on to the fact that we've got some cars in different liveries this weekend. We'll talk to you about that a little bit later on, but we've got a race to get underway here. It's Rob Fountain coming up towards the line in the race lead, which he converts to the lead. Charlie Budd in white on the outside, getting good momentum on board with Charlie. Even better momentum though for Jack Parker and Luke Simmons there to the right of shot. Simmons in the yellow and black car goes up into second place. Rob Fountain's fighting that. Rob gets a better run around the outside. So it's Jack Parker with a healthy lead as they go 3 wide into Druids. Rob Fountain on the inside, Luke Simmons behind him. Charlie Budd has gone on the outside, so a good first few corners for Charlie Budd in the 44. And it's Budd who I think is going to grab second place here as they go through Graham Hill Bend, splashing their way through. Fountain next up, a little bit of a wobble from Rob, the former champion. Rob's now going to have a look on the inside of Charlie Budd, so they go side by side into the left-hander at Surtees. Jack Parker trying to find some grip. I think he found a puddle there, but he's still on track. He's got a very, very good lead here as we go about 2/3 of the way through lap number 1. Simmons tries to make it 3 wide. There are 3 wide further back. Nathan Anthony, we've got Andrew Rogerson in white on the inside, the outside run being explored by the Electric Centre Bracknell car of championship leader Will Gibson, with Ben Higgins, reigning rookie champion, immediately in front. I think many would say the safe bet for the money for the championship is with Will Gibson at the moment, with a good, healthy championship lead as Andy Bird goes down the inside. That's Mark Beattie who's had a problem. Mark running in the Pixar Disney Cars movie livery, one of 4 cars doing that this weekend. Hopefully we'll get a chance to explain that more to you and perhaps have a chat with James Newbury, who's behind that initiative this weekend. But 4 cars supporting the Motor Neurone Disease Association fundraising. Well done to those guys, and what a great meeting here to do that. We've got a huge crowd here at Brands Hatch this weekend. This is the penultimate day of the year, the final day. We will see probably the biggest crowd. It is a sellout already, in fact, the final day of the year. Jack Parker, though, is out front, so Parker leads. Still Charlie Budd second, Luke Simmons third, Tyler Reid, Lightning McReed as he's known this weekend, and was chatting to him this morning. He was saying that the car, as Rob Fountain finds going a little bit too slippery, going wide, loses momentum. Here's the view from Ben Higgins. That's Will Gibson looking on the inside of Nathan Anthony in the Savannah. They come along the straight, and you saw Nathan there just got a much better run on the outside. That is a thing in the wet. Will Gibson tempering his driving, I've got to say, in the early stages of races at the last meeting at Snetterton and this weekend, and the conditions catching a few people out. That was Ollie Schlupp, teammate of the man in the race lead there, Jack Parker in the quick steel car. Now we'll certainly get yellow flags in that zone. Whether we'll get a safety car or not to retrieve Ollie remains to be seen. Ollie, one of many drivers, I suppose you could say, realistically battling for second in the championship at the moment. Jack Parker is the leading team car driver, which is the car being shared. This weekend we'll see, this is Jack's last day in the car for this year, because we'll see John Mickle back in the final round, which is great news. Not that we don't want to see Jack in the car, but it'll be wonderful to see John back in. Ben Higgins runs wide, back on track comes Ben Higgins. That's Mike Schlupp that he's joining. We've got Dan Pooley behind him. There is Nick Bridgman, Chris Dewey. So I think we've seen 3 now of the Cars movie liveried machines. We haven't seen James Newbury yet, but hopefully we will, as Dan Pooley fights the car there, up ahead of 51. Now, if you're thinking that was Luke Simmons, actually Luke's dad Paul, who's back with us as a guest driver this weekend. Great to see him, former Masters champion in Legends Cars National Championship. And here's the view from Dan Pooley, the Cambridgeshire man who's been getting better and better at his Legends racing, multi-short oval champion, and makes a very neat move there on Mike Schlupp. Bridgman goes through. It is a safety car, and that's going to be for, I think, for Ollie Schlupp's car. It's Glenn Birchall going through in the ex-Gerard Bacoche car, which was 69, of course, number 69 back in the day, but now number 72. We've got Nick Price behind him as well in blue. So things will be calmed down for the recovery of Ollie Schlupp's car. He becomes the first retirement, actually, here of our penultimate event of the season here at Brands Hatch. Ollie is okay, the car will be flat-bedded away, and we will then be able to restart the race. Safety car lights are out. Jack Parker had a huge lead, so he'll be one of the, in that sort of situation you get where drivers can be very frustrated about losing a lead because of the safety car. But one thing you know about Jack, and particularly with wet conditions, is that he'll probably scoot away again. Although Charlie Budd, I tell you what, Charlie Budd has not had a bad restart here, neither has Jack Parker. They've both done very well on the restart. As we get racing once again, Ben Higgins not that far behind Nathan Anthony. Will Gibson immediately ahead of him. Here's the view back from Will. The sky's not as dark as we think they might be now, and here comes Ben Higgins looking on the inside run. Nathan just moves across, defends the line going up into Druids. There's Rob Fountain ahead of Will Gibson. Tyler Reid in red challenging Andy Bird, who's having a good strong run as well, the former rookie champion. And Jack Parker, still the race leader here at Brands Hatch. He's got to do it all from the back in race 2, of course, having started on row 2 in this one. He'll start on the penultimate row for the next race. Chris Needham in 13. I think might have had a few issues. There's Harry Marcel in the Gigabox car. one of the team championship cars. Will Gibson goes, he pushed a little bit wide there. Tyler Reid goes wide. You can see how easy it would have been for Ollie Schlupp to have gone off earlier on. Will Gibson now has got to try and get back in front of Nathan Anthony. So a little bit of deja vu for him as Ben Higgins pops through. Ben Higgins, great recovery from Ben. And we've got three very quick drivers here. In fact, well, the whole field's full of quick drivers, to be perfectly honest, but a good opportunity to watch three very good drivers all together. Nathan trying to put the Savan down the inside. Here's Jack Parker back out front. Luke Simmons in second. Third place, great fight between Andy Bird and Charlie Budd, and it's Andy Bird that gets a foot on the podium, as it were, at the moment. Here's the view from Charlie Budd. Comes downhill into the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend, onto Cooper Straight they will go. Then we've got Rob Fountain, Ben Higgins, Will Gibson, Tyler Reid's dropped back a little bit. Nathan Anthony too has lost a bit of ground on those guys. At the other end of the straight though, Jack Parker running well. Charlie Budd was second, remember, when we had the restart, when the safety car came back in. Things at the moment looking relatively settled. Here's the view from Ben Higgins, and again looking for the outside there is Will Gibson, who'll go as far as he can without touching the curbs. Onto the Brabham straight, looking to try and get a run. Is he going to switch to the inside of Ben Higgins? Ben will have seen him there and keeps the car going wide into Paddock Hill Bend. I'll tell you what, that's lovely clean run. Ben Higgins sadly has gone off. Ben Higgins, and again, that just shows how difficult it is out there for the drivers. And Ben would have been, you know, to my mind, he was mindful of the fact that Will Gibson was on the inside. And he's got a problem. He got it out of the gravel. I think he's put the car out of harm's way. I think he's probably got a mechanical issue there, Ben Higgins. Major pity. That is maybe going to be another safety car. We're a fair way into the race. It might necessitate a red flag if we don't get safeties. But either way, Jack Parker is out front, and we've got the fight on for second place. So if there is a safety car, a red flag, I think Andy Bird might rue that. So Andy in third place, busy chasing Luke Simmons, who of course is second in the standings car. It's a red flag. It is a red flag on that one, and we'll see after the break if we can get a restart. Well, it's a red flag here at Brands Hatch due to Ben Higgins having a moment off the track. The car has broken down sadly, and well, we did speculate there might be a checkered flag issued, and that is the case. Jack Parker opens his weekend, or opens his final day of the championship with a win from the second row of the grid. Ben Higgins' car being recovered. Here's the result. Parker from Luke Simmons and Andy Bird. Charlie Budd fourth, ahead of Rob Fountain, and Will Gibson sixth from Tyler Reid, then Nathan Anthony, Andrew Rogerson and Dan Pooley. Fastest lap, by the way, going to Jack Parker as well, the race winner. Paul Simmons, 11th on his return to the Formula. Nick Bridgman next from another guest driver, Chris Dewey, Mike Schlupp. Scott Smith, 15th from Glenn Burton-Short, Nick Price. Chris Needham, 18th from Ben Highland. Welcome to the championship, Ben. Stuart McAndrew next from Andy Phillips, another newcomer from Mark Beattie. Lenny Woodcock, James Newbury and Harry Mussell. Another finish for him in 25th.
So, first win of the weekend goes to Jack Parker. Jack, you must be over the moon with that, considering the conditions. It's changed quite quickly, even since the race has been on.
Yeah, the conditions had really slippy. We had no qualifying this morning, so it was very new to get back out there, try and pick your lines, seeing how wet the circuit is. So, yeah, first few laps were a bit of a nightmare, but we kept it together. Quick steel car, it seems to be on pace. It's got seems to have the grip, seems to have the pace, the speed. So we're at the back in the second race. So that will be a more interesting race, and see what we can do and pick my lines and see where everyone's got to go.
So Luke Simmons, first off, welcome to Brands Hatch and welcome to the podium once again. A second place finish, you must be really happy with that, because as I've said to Jack Parker already, the conditions were crazy, weren't they? Very, very difficult.
Yeah, we did the 2 green flag laps, and I thought the spray was quite bad, and the sun was just come out as well, and to be fair, towards the end of the race it sort of dried up a bit. Looking forward to the next race.
So Andy, first race of the day out of the way here. It was, well, a lot worse than it was right now actually. It's now getting a little bit drier, but talk us through that race, because it looked very difficult at points.
Yeah, I mean, not having any free practice this morning didn't help, but I think overall everyone behaved themselves pretty well. I started 8th or 9th, I think, and got up to 3rd. Shame that the red flag did come out, because I was just lining Luke up for second and hoping I might be able to get onto Jack before the end of the race, but I think Jack was sort of long gone by then. But yeah, it was good race, good way to start the weekend.
Lots of work going on down in the paddock to get the cars ready for race 2. Before the meeting started, we caught up with Ben Higgins. Happier times before his DNF in race number 1.
So Ben, welcome to Brands Hatch for the final couple of events of the season. How are you feeling here, being so high up in the championship now with such a great season behind you already?
Yeah, I think we're excited for this weekend, really. I mean, you know, we had a good year, good end to the year, really. We've had some DNFs and stuff that have sort of set us back a little bit, but we'll have to see what happens in this last round. The points are so tight, so it's just going to be carnage, you know, especially today. So yeah, we're looking forward to a good weekend.
Well, that's it. You know, with it such a short circuit here at Brands Hatch, so many laps around it. You know, there's so many opportunities to get overtaken and obviously pull off some brilliant overtakes as well, isn't there?
Yeah, and you find as well around here, everyone's so experienced. You know, they've done so many laps around here because we're here 3 times a year.
Yeah.
So I mean, everyone knows the track pretty well. Everyone's pretty quick here, so it just makes it even more difficult. But there's definitely a few overtaking places you can sort of go for it, you know. But yeah, it's a good fun circuit for these, especially for the legends and good crowds. So yeah, it's really good for that.
Our second all-growth race of the penultimate event of the season about to get underway. It's Dan Pooley on the front row with Ben Higgins, Nick Bridgman in the all-growth car next to Will Gibson. On board with Will, third row, Mark Beattie and James Newbury, the fourth of our Motor Neurone Disease Association supported cars. He's the original two-mater, as it were, in the Legends Championship. Very well known, very well loved, and it's a good start. Even Stevens between the front row runners. Dan Pooley to the inside. There he is, a wonderful shot from Ben Higgins. And Dan Pooley coming. Oh, the back wants to break away on Dan's car, but he held that very well indeed. But it's Ben Higgins who was a little bit smoother, didn't have the back end breaking away on the 20 car. He leads. Will Gibson looking for second place at the moment. Dan Pooley, tell you what, has held on very well there. A little bit of a coming together at Druids. I think we've got Nick Price, possibly Luke Simmons. Certainly black and yellow. We'll try and work out where the Simmonses are as Will Gibson now goes on the inside run. Will with vastly more Legends experience than Dan Pooley. Dan towards the end of year 2. I think he's done a full season this year. Didn't do a full year last year. Missed a couple of events, but building his experience and Legends cars knowledge, which is what you have to do. Some drivers will come in and maybe do well straight away, but for the majority of drivers it is so different to get to grips with these cars. Tyler Reid in red on the thought was looking on the outside of Andy Bird. I need to make a point about Andy in a moment as we look briefly at Rob Fountain going on the outside here as well of Mark Beattie is Jack Parker. It's Andy Bird to the inside. Parker is going to make up 2 places there. So Jack Parker ahead of Andy Bird. Bird in the white car with the green numbers and the black top. A little bit further up, we've got Ben Higgins here about to be challenged for the lead by Will Gibson. Gibson on the inside at Druids. That converts to the outside on the next corner, but no, he's got the position there, so Gibson makes the pass. Wonderful shot again. Give us that footage all day long, Ben, if you don't mind. Tyler Reid in the 6 car now chasing Dan Pooley. Then it's Mark Beattie in the 85, busy giving chase. And I think Andrew Rogerson next up as Ben grabs a little bit of the dirt there. Tyler Reid's going to grab some dirt in red as well. Rob Fountain to his outside, gets more momentum. Charlie Budd going through as well. It was Charlie Budd, wasn't it? Not Andrew Rogerson. So, and Rob Fountain in the gravel. Is he going to be able to keep it out? I think he probably will. Here's the view from Charlie. You can see how the drivers are working the wheel, keeping the cars under control as best they can. Across the line to tick off another lap in this one, which is settling down, I've got to say, quite nicely, this race. So they go into Paddock Hill Bend. Tyler Reid just about to head out of shot with Nathan Anthony right behind him. In towards Druids we go. Nathan, and Tyler runs a little bit wide. We've got Paul Simmons in the 51. in the mix there as well, so it must have been Luke Simmons in that opening lap skirmish. And here's the view from Ben Higgins now, who's seen second position. Ollie Schlupp in the K-Seal car goes through. Now these two battling for second position in the championship, remember. Third position at the moment. Luke Simmons still in second position in the championship. But after race one, by my maths, it's Andy Bird now who leapfrogs Schlupp and Higgins based on their non-finishes. They still get 5 points for a non-finish. But Andy Bird scored well. I reckon he's into third place in the championship now, Andy Bird. So it's going to be crucial here for Ollie Schlupp and Ben Higgins to get a finish to try and get back ahead of Andy Bird as we head into the race after this, which is the final race of the penultimate round of the season. Here's the view from Ben Higgins. So race leaders fairly well spaced out at the moment under the Burton Power Bridge. Into Druids they go. Ben Higgins far from finished in second. Chris Needham is fourth. Then it's Jack Parker. Andy Bird is next up. Matt Knight in gold and black. Then it's the Allgrowth 68 of Nick Bridgman. Nick was telling me that he was pretty unhappy early on, the first half of the season. He was actually thinking of packing up. I'm really glad he didn't, because it was one of those lows that every driver will get at some point, you know, if not in the year, certainly in their career, but seems to have bounced back and found some good pace, Nick Bridgman, of late, which is good. There is Andy Bird from Matt Knight. So many drivers. Matt Knight, a driver that has been knocking on the door of a win, like Charlie Budd. So many drivers in this championship capable of winning. Oh, and Schlupp Senior, Mike Schlupp, has a moment in the JLM car. JLM, of course, sponsored our Elite Championship, which was won by Connor Mills from Robert Barrable. Barrable had great form around here at Brands Hatch, was a Formula Ford Festival podium finisher many years ago, as Dan Pooley makes a good run on the inside of Andrew Rogerson. Charlie Budd busy chasing him as well. I'll come back to the point I was trying to make, which was so many drivers haven't had race wins in Legends that are capable of it, and with the right circumstances will. Charlie Budd, very much one of those drivers who I would expect to see and hope to see win Legends race before too long. Chris Needham challenging Jack Parker. Parker trying to close up at the moment on, I was going to say the fourth place car. It's the fourth car in this group, which is Ben Higgins, but the lead car of the group we're looking at is young Harry Marcel, and I think his first wet race meeting. He had a spin on Cooper Straight earlier on, and keeping to the outside of the track allows Will Gibson through. Great driving from young Harry there as Ben Higgins powers on his way. Super shot once again as they come along the main straight here, the Brabham straight. Harry on the outside now. Jack Parker through on the inside. Parker challenges here for third position, goes down the inside of Ben Higgins, and Jack Parker, I think we can say team champion elect. We'll see John Mickle in the car tomorrow, and he goes through into third place. Will Gibson still the leader from Ollie Schlupp. Ollie now being chased by his teammates, so it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic between those two. It's each man for himself, because of course they all pay their own entry fees, and Jack will very definitely fancy his chances of a double win here, but he's got work to do, because Ollie Schlupp is quick, and so too is Will Gibson, the championship leader out front in the 57 car. Gibson just taking the right amount of curb there, keeping away from the very much mullered grass, that grass damage caused by the big rigs of the British Truck Racing Championship here this weekend. They're supporting the Legends, says firmly tongue-in-cheek, as the cars come out of Clark Curve onto Brabham straight once again. Andy Bird giving chase to Chris Needham, the two ex-supercarters, both championship winning drivers in supercarts, and moved over to Legends a couple of seasons ago. Andy Bird, remember, third in the championship by my reckoning at the moment, and he'll add another 10 points to his scores if he can pass Chris Needham by the end of the race. Ben Higgins running a wide to try and find the grip there on this very damp day here at Brands Hatch. Nathan Anthony up ahead of Andrew Rogerson. There is the 51 of Paul Simmons. Got a lot of guest drivers today. Have a quick shout out. We mentioned Harry Marcel is running as a guest this weekend. Andy Phillips, debut ex-midget racer as well. Good to see him joining the likes of Nick Price, Dan Pooley from that formula in the championship. Ben Hyland as well, ex-Janetta man in the number 33 car. Glenn Burtonshaw we saw in race number 1. Chris Dewey is with us as well as Paul Simmons as our guest drivers, and we'll catch up with them after the break. Welcome back, and the battle is on for the lead. Ollie Schlupp challenging Will Gibson. Gibson's got the inside as they come down to Graham Hill Bend, but Schlupp has just done to Gibson what Gibson did to Ben Power earlier on and grabs the lead, and Jack Parker goes through into second, is now challenging for the lead. Here's the view from the new third place man, Will Gibson. This might be all about finishing and points for Gibson, because now we've got Jack Parker in the lead. So Parker goes into catching up with James Newbury. Parker has to go over the mud, and Ollie Schlupp's back in the lead. So Jack Parker in the quick steel car had the lead at a moment over on the mud. James Newbury gets the blue flag, rightfully. To be fair to James, on the left-right section, it's very difficult for any driver to know exactly where to place the car, particularly when you've got three race leaders coming up to you. Here we come across the line again. Ollie Schlupp onto the last lap, loses the lead. Jack Parker pops his way through on the inside line. This is going to be a good result for Schlupp if he can hang on to second. It'd be an even better result for Will Gibson, championship-wise, in third. And Will, I think, here is playing the percentages and working out. He doesn't want to get too involved. He needs to get the car home to the finish. If he had a DNF here, he could, of course, start off the front of the grid for race 3 with less points from the first 2 races. But he doesn't want to do that. He wants to bag the points now and then work his way through the field in the third race at the end of it. But the big story here, of course, is Jack Parker, who is on for a double. Jack Parker from the back of the grid is looking for a double. Superstar Andy Phillips moves out of the way. The newcomer goes to the outside. Here is the battle for the lead. Is Ollie Schlupp going to put in a last-ditch challenge to go for his first race win in Legends, or will Jack Parker hold on? Here they come down towards the checkered flag. Ollie Schlupp is going to make the move. Down to the line they go, and Jack Parker just holds on. Ollie Schlupp 0.05 of a second down on Jack Parker, who makes it a double. Ollie Schlupp second, Will Gibson in third. Tyler Reid has a moment off on the dirt. A little bit further back is Tyler, just outside the top 10. Will Gibson cementing his championship lead with third place in that one from Ben Higgins in fourth. Then it was Chris Needham fifth. Andy Bird wrapping up the top 6, and I think possibly hanging on to third in the championship. Well, there they are, top 6 as I called them. 7th place, Matt Knight. 8th was Nick Bridgman. 9th, Charlie Budd ahead of Dan Pooley. Jack Parker, by the way, getting fastest lap of the race. Andrew Rogerson next from Paul Simmons and Chris Dewey. Tyler Reid from Luke Simmons and Rob Fountain. Nathan Anthony 17th from Glenn Burtonshaw. Scott Smith in 19th, then Mark Beattie in 20th position from Ben Highland. Nick Price, Stuart McAndrew, Mike Schlupp 24th from Andy Phillips, James Newbury and Harry Bussell completing the finishes.
So Jack, 2 out of 2 today. You must be over the moon with that. That one looked actually a bit trickier than the first one, to be fair, because the conditions weren't the same all the way through, were they?
No, the conditions, it was spitting as we was going out, and then it just started drying in places. Yeah, it was just trying to adapt to it, trying to get through the field as well. Everyone wanting the same bit of time, like looking for the same bit of grip. Yeah, a lot more hard work, but a lot more excited. So yeah, it's good for the team. 2 wins under their belts, everyone's over the moon in there. The quick steel car is going really well, and Mickle Motorsport are just doing a fantastic job of maintaining the car and getting the performance that we need to do this. So we have to see what happens in the final.
So Ollie, race number 2 of the weekend brings you a 2nd place finish just behind your teammate Jack Parker. You must be over the moon with that, especially being ahead of Will.
Yeah, really pleased with that result. Was behind Will for almost the whole race, but just managed to get him in the second to last lap and trying to hold off Jack, but he got me on the last lap as well. But really happy with that result.
And what's it like battling these guys, knowing the capability that they've got as well? It must be such a massive confidence boost for you. You've not been doing it as long as these guys have.
Yeah, it's quite. I'm quite nervous because they're so much faster, and you're giving it everything just to keep up with them, and then you've got to get past them as well. It's quite challenging, but really good fun racing with them.
So, Will, 3rd place in the 2nd race of the day. You must be pretty pleased with that because it's still big championship points. Sure, Ollie was in front of you, but damage limitation, isn't it?
Yeah, this weekend's all about winning the championship. You know, knowing when to pick our battles, and they were catching and catching. Ollie had a half look, and to be honest, I just jumped out the way. A DNF for us will make the championship very hard, whereas any amount of points is good for us.
And especially in these conditions as well, it's not easy, is it? Because it's not as easy to sort of quickly react or change your trajectory, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's in that last race, it was half wet, half dry. It's so hard to just know how much to push. You get loads of confidence in one corner and then just go barreling in and have no grip on the next. It's, especially when you're in the lead and you can't really see anybody else. Yeah, it's hard work.
So Nathan Anthony, you come here to Brands Hatch leading the Masters Championship in the number 29 machine. Are you feeling confident to wrap that up this weekend?
Yeah, I think we've got a fairly decent chance with some decent finishes, of course. That would obviously help.
Is it a case of sort of pushing forward as hard as you can and keeping an eye on Rob Fountain, because he's obviously your nearest competitor? Do you sort of look out for him during the race?
I think realistically, when you win the race, you just have to drive the race, and where you end up is where you end up. But you are looking obviously forward all the time.
And this is almost like a home race for you, isn't it, here at Brands Hatch? It's quite local to you, to say the least. So any confidence or any home advantage from that?
We are 40 minutes from here, really, from home. We always have a big crowd here that follow us. So it's a good atmosphere for us. We have people in hospitality suites and bits and pieces. So yeah, we do enjoy this one.
Pole position goes to Mark Beattie, lowest point scorer on the day. Sorry to rub that in, Mark. 60 points. Nick Price has 80 points. He starts alongside. Mike Schlupp 90. Then Matt Knight on 135. Ben Higgins row 3, 165 points, and Nathan Anthony with 170. By Ben Higgins not scoring so well, has actually dropped a little bit in the championship standings. It is Will Gibson still leading from Luke Simmons, and Andy Bird still third. Double check mass, I think we're right on that one, as the safety car comes into pit lane. So it is Mark Beattie and Nick Price on the front row of the grid. Top point scorer, no doubt at all, of course, Jack Parker, with Andy Bird and Will Gibson by my maths joint second on the day so far. Here we come, down towards lights out. Matt Knight looking hungry on the outside of the second row in the treble 2 car. Nathan Anthony makes a good move in the yellow and blue Sevan round the outside, looking for grip on the outside here. It's got wetter again at Brands, as you can see. And these cars make a fantastic sight. I'll tell you what, that was a great start by the whole field here in very tricky conditions. And it's Beat Him On that leads them into Druids. Round the outside goes Andrew Rogerson in white. They're 4 wide around Druids, but they do it without a tangle. Superb stuff from the Allgrowth legends here as they head down to Graham Hill Bend for the first time. And it's Matt Knight that's got the lead. Ben Higgins has a little bit of a wobble. Mike Schlupp is there at the moment in second place. Great first lap from the JLM car. Beg your pardon, third place for Mike Schlupp, because it's Matt Knight in front from Mark Beattie as they go into Surtees for the first time. Look how tricky it is. Really struggling with the conditions, these drivers feeling their way through. I'll tell you what, I'm just surprised that we didn't have an incident on turns 1, 2 and 3, Paddock Druids, or even Graham Hill Bend. They've sorted themselves out magnificently. It's not to say there won't be a problem in there. Luke Simmons isn't looking happy today. The 25 car dropping back, and Luke in danger of losing second position in the championship if he doesn't get his skates on. There is Will Gibson coming through on the inside, trying to pick his way through the traffic as well. Nick Bridgman, the Allgrowth car. There is Nick Price, who started on the front row. Meanwhile, still a very busy. Where has the Quicksteel car come from? The multicoloured Quicksteel car is at about 6th place for Jack Parker on 1 lap. Now, it's not beyond the realms of doubt here that Parker could get a hat-trick. This is incredible stuff. Jack Parker, there he is in the Quicksteel car, chasing his teammate Ollie Schlupp as he was in the closing stages of race 2. Schlupp on the inside of Nathan Anthony. It's Matt Knight still leading, so we've got plenty of Mickle Motorsport drivers fighting for top positions here. Ollie has a big moment, collects it up. Here's the view from Ben Higgins. Ben getting good momentum here, trying to chase the Motor Neurone Disease Association supporting car of Mark Beattie. Here comes Ollie Schlupp, though. You can see on the limit, just look how tricky these cars are to drive in any conditions, let alone the wet. And again, an exemplary display. I won't say any more about great driving, because we'll probably wind up with a safety car or something like that as they go across the line. Charlie Budd from Dan Pooley. Charlie on the inside of Nick Price. Still Matt Knight out front. Jack Parker's got himself up into second position. Remember, the top point scoring driver started at the back of all the drivers that are championship registered, which is the majority of them. And Jack Parker, you know, I was talking to his dad just before this race. This is why does everyone expect Jack to win in the wet? Well, he's a quality driver. There are plenty of other quality drivers here, but you know, Jack has just marked himself out as a driver that can deliver, and look at that, he's challenging Matt Knight now, the two teammates. Ben Higgins is in third place, Ollie Schlupp fourth, the chasing pack come through. Nick Bridgman being followed by Rob Fountain. Interesting to hear, of course, and the interview with Nathan Anthony, that Rob Fountain is challenging Nathan for the Masters class for this one, as we're going to get a change for the lead here as Jack Parker goes to the outside. Ollie Schlupp's going to go on the inside. Top three at the moment, all Mickle Motorsport drivers. Here's Ben Higgins, who is spoiling the party for Mickle Motorsport. The camera flicks around, that's a super angle, isn't it? Under the Burton Bridge. Matt Knight second. Ollie Schlupp couldn't get third, but he's going to have a chivvy away at the inside line with Nathan Anthony down behind him. Luke Simmons in the 25 running a little bit better. Chris Needham is next up in the black 13, so Chris having a good run, but we of course need to keep an eye open for Andy Bird to see what progress he's making. Mark Beattie's been caught by Will Gibson, on board with Will. Will makes the move through on the inside, and at the moment I don't think he can wrap the championship up in this race. That there was an expectation or a possibility that he might have wrapped it up in this round, but he's going to have a little bit more work to do in the final round as we go back on board with Ben Higgins chasing Matt Knight. So Higgins chasing the man from the south coast. Bit of bump drafting, breaks free, goes to the right, looks down the inside. Ollie Schlupp still there in the mix as well. Higgins is going to take second position here. Neat move down on the inside, up into P2. Uphill goes race leader Jack Parker on his way to a hat-trick here. Big battle on for second. Ben Higgins was momentarily second. Ollie Schlupp back through. Matt Knight wants third position from Nathan Anthony. Luke Simmons in the mix as well. Chris Needham, Will Gibson still there as well. Gibson and Parker have worked their way through very, very quickly in this race, but conditions really atrocious, I've got to say, but the driver's putting on a super show here. So Parker, if he maintains the lead here, will grab the overall win. Ollie Schlupp goes a little bit wide, again loses momentum. Ben Higgins is going to pop up the inside. We've got Schlupp chased by Matt Knight, but Ollie Schlupp regathering the momentum on the outside, which you can do in the wet. So there might be a method there surely for Ollie Schlupp. So Ollie in second place, Ben Higgins third, with the pack chasing him, headed by Matt Knight in triple two. Nathan Anthony, Luke Simmons looking to try and maintain second in the championship. Then it's Chris Needham from Will Gibson. Big gap behind them, and a big gap at the moment from Jack Parker. Two fastest laps as well as 2 wins for Jack in the quick steel number 4 car. This is last race of the season, the final round that we'll see in our next programme. That car will be back in the capable hands of John Mick. I'm really looking forward to seeing John back in the race car after that nasty incident at Cadwell in the opening event of the season for the Allgrowth Legends. Matt Knight though coming under pressure. Good race here. Look at the rain coming down on the camera. Pity the cameramen. The racers do it by choice. I suppose the cameramen do as well, don't they, for to an extent as well, but it is not good conditions here. Great for Jack Parker out front. Mickle Motorsport 1-2 at the moment, then Ben Higgins followed by Matt Knight. How is this going to pan out with this quartet of cars? Will Gibson chasing Chris Needham at the moment. We ride on board with Will. Water on the camera. You don't need me to tell you how difficult it is as they pass the pit lane entrance. Mike Schlupp in the JLM car is off. Mike still scored 90 points today and was the third on the grid for this one, but rejoins with Nick Price. We've got Glenn Burtonshaw in the ex-Gerald McCosh car, and Jack Parker. Rare mistake from Parker there, that could cost him the win. Parker that just goes to show that he is still trying. He's not being cautious at all and has a little bit of a moment, and his teammate has caught him. So Ollie Schlupp now very much on the case of Jack Parker, knowing Jack there will gather it up, and remember he's got that much more experience. We said the same thing when Will Gibson was racing with Dan Pooley in race number 1. Ollie Schlupp has much less experience of Legends than Jack Parker, and he's belying that by having a nibble at the inside. So Ollie Schlupp has a look, racing for the lead. Can't go through Jack Parker, the man from Wolverhampton, holds him off, and this is allowing Ben Higgins to come back into the mix as well. So it was, when we came back to this, a decent lead for Parker. The little mistake brought Schlupp into it, and now because Schlupp and Parker are dicing, we've got Ben Higgins in the mix as well. This great big gaggle of cars has now been joined by Andy Bird at the back, so Andy Bird has caught this group as well. Bird third in the championship, Luke Simmons dropping back, and that is very handy points here. On for Andy Bird, about to make the pass on Luke Simmons. That could affect second position in the championship, if not in this race, certainly for the final round in our next programme that we look forward to. Meanwhile, three-way battle for the lead, although Jack Parker, I think, is rebuilding his confidence and getting away again from Ollie Schlupp in second. On board with the third place man, Ben Higgins, the man from Powys, goes, the skies look lighter, it looks like conditions should be getting better. I don't think they're going to do it quick enough in these Legends sprint races to be decent enough by the end of it. Luke Simmons fighting, but I wonder if Luke's looked at the points with Andy Bird, the point situation with Andy Bird closing in on him. The drivers, when you talk to them in the paddock, some of them carry the points in their hand, work it all out quite meticulously. Others just get on with each race, and it really depends who you're talking to. Now we've got a little bit of traffic to deal with, so the Liquid Moly 2 Mater car is the first. Oh, and Jack Parker threads his way through young Harry Marcel and James Newbury, and Ben Higgins looking to try and work his way through as well. Ollie Schlupp back in with a shout of going for the lead. Jack Parker's going wide. Schlupp's going to take the tighter line. Has a little look, but Jack Parker gets a better run over Ollie Schlupp out of the corner onto the main straight here. They're all clear of the cars that they've passed. Across the line they go again. Brands Hatch, pretty much the home of Legends Cars racing now. It's the venue where we've had the most Legends Cars races over the years. Used to having a traditional start and season closer here. Plus we race at the American Speed Fest. As look at this now, Ben Higgins takes it wide, just trying to get extra grip and momentum around Druids and close in on Ollie Schlupp. That's good news for Jack Parker. Chris Needham closing in there in the black 13 on Nathan Anthony. Then it's Andy Bird. Matt Knight is behind Andy Bird now. Parker, Schlupp and Higgins out front. Nathan Anthony's going to get some decent points here in the Savannah, number 29. Remember, started 6 on the grid. And here's the battle for second place going on again. Schlupp's got the run here on the outside, a little bit of opposite lock. Oh, and Schlupp makes a mistake. Ollie Schlupp runs very wide indeed. It's very difficult to keep the car going wide on the confines of the circuit as Jack Parker crosses the line. And Parker with an increased lead now over Ben Higgins in second position. Ollie Schlupp trying to close up again. Ollie metaphorically will be kicking himself for that, but he's just working as hard as he can, A, to fend off the advances of Ben Higgins such as they were, and also to try and close in on his teammate Jack Parker. But all of this is great learning for Ollie Schlupp. Remember, only a second-year driver. So too is Ben Higgins, of course. Jack Parker, though, will be... I don't think anyone can top Jack Parker for race wins now this season. Just to get that stat out of the way, I'm going to have to count those up, but I'm pretty sure Jack Parker will be the driver with the most wins over the combined Allgrowth and JLM Elite Cup championships that we've seen this year. Here is Will Gibson, who again is showing terrific pace and also picking up very good points. Andy Phillips goes through the 27, then it's Chris Needham. Andy's a lap down on his debut, not disgracing himself at all, as Andy Bird chases Nathan Anthony. The race leaders are onto the final lap of the penultimate round of the championship. Super stuff. Look at that. Andy Phillips realises the faster drivers are coming. He's still acquainting himself with his car. He'll hand that one over tomorrow. It's a team guest car, as it were, being shared over the weekenders. Andy Bird, look at that, goes round the outside of Nathan. That was a committed move from Andy Bird into paddock on the outside, and Nathan saw him coming, left the room as best he could. He could have slipped wide. That was a super move. That, I think, might have been move of the day for me. Brilliant stuff from Andy. Meanwhile, You talk about move of the day, but the undoubted star of the day is Jack Parker, who's going to make it 3 wins out of 3. A hat-trick for the man from Wolverhampton, who wasn't going to race this year until we very sadly had that incident with John Mickle at the start of the season, which meant that Jack Parker was drafted in, and he signs off in fine style. 3 out of 3 for Parker. Ben Higgins second. Ollie Schlupp will take 3rd place. The battling continues apace behind. Harry Mussel up ahead of, that's Paul Simmons, isn't it, in the 51, with Daniel Pooley looking to try and slide through on the inside. Paul Simmons in the 51 in 16th place, actually the top guest driver who crosses the line, but the top 6 were Jack Parker, Ben Higgins, Ollie Schlupp, Will Gibson, Chris Needham and Andy Bird in 6th place. But what about this man, Jack Parker? 3 starts, 3 wins, 2 of them off the back of the grid. Ben Higgins second from Ollie Schlupp. Ben Higgins getting fastest lap, by the way. Will Gibson next from Chris Needham, Andy Bird. Nathan Anthony 7th from Matt Knight. Luke Simmons and Andrew Rogerson 10th. Then Mark Beattie 11th from Tyler Reid and Rob Fountain. Nick Bridgman ahead of Charlie Budd and Paul Simmons. Daniel Pooley in 17th from Mike Schlupp, Chris Dewey. And Ben Highland, who wraps up his first Legends Day in 20th place. 21st goes to Nick Price from Glenn Burtonshaw, then Scott Smith and Stuart McAndrew, Andy Phillips, James Newbury and Harry Mussel.
So Jack, 3 out of 3. We said earlier you might do it. How do you feel, mate? Because what an achievement that is.
No, been a great day. Been an absolutely brilliant day to do what I've done, and even for the team to bring back the results that they so desperately deserve. They put a lot of effort into the car, and yeah, it's nice to show that they can do it and I can do it as well. So yeah, over the moon.
So Ben, you finished the day with a 2nd place in the final race. That must be a big relief after a bit of a difficult start to your day.
Yeah, definitely a nice end to the sort of day. Saturday, end it off with the 2nd place, definitely nice. We had the DNF earlier in the first race, so yeah, it's sort of come together now towards the end. So hopefully we can carry it on to tomorrow.
And what's it like going into the final event of the season then, in terms of championship points for you? Are you doing the maths as you're going around? Because it's very close within that top 10, isn't it?
I'm trying not to be honest. It's so close. I mean, it's chopping and changing all the time. So I think if you look at it too much, you know, it can kind of get you a bit. But no, I think just sort of see what happens. Everyone's so tight, the sort of top 5. So we just have to see what happens and see who comes out where, and whatever happens, isn't it? So we'll see.
So Ollie, back on the podium once again in the final race of the day, coming through the field with your teammate Jack. That must have been a right blast.
Yeah, it's great to follow Jack. He just gets through the grid so quickly. It's really impressive how he drives. But yeah, to follow him is just great.
And what about the conditions again, the talking point of the race really, because it suddenly leathered it down halfway through, then stopped again. What's it like trying to predict what the circuit's going to be like for you guys?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's awful. We're looking out both sides of the garages, looking at the clouds, what way they're going. But we went out and it was just spitting, and I thought, oh, this is going to be a tricky one on the tyres. And then a couple of laps in, it was just hammering it down. So good conditions for the setup, but you know, it's really tricky to drive in.
You don't need to be a mathematician to work out that Jack Parker wins the day. I reckon they've got the team championship as well. Congratulations to them. Will Gibson 2nd from Andy Bird today, then Luke Simmons and Ollie Schlupp. Chris Needham 6th from Ben Higgins and Charlie Budd. Nathan Anthony in 9th from Andrew Rogerson. Will Gibson carries a 535-point lead into the final day here at Brands Hatch. Luke Simmons 2nd, Andy Bird up into 3rd place now. Well done to Nick Bridgman on making that up into the top 10.
And that's it from us here at Brands Hatch for round 7 of the 2023 Legends Cars Championship. It's been another amazing day of racing with mixed conditions challenging our drivers once again, and of course it provided great entertainment throughout. We've got a good championship fight squared up now for the final event of the season, which will be back here at Brands Hatch for round 8, and of course we hope to catch you then.